Karl Rove is sounding the alarm. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. could cost Joe Biden the election. We're going to take a look at a clip from yesterday wherein a Republican strategist and a former advisor to George W. Bush, Karl Rove, explains the math of how Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s candidacy, now, I guess, bolstered, although I'm not sure, bolstered by Nicole Shanahan as his vice presidential running mate, who effectively bought her vice president slot, donated like $4 million to a PAC. Next thing you know, she's his VP running mate. Karl Rove explains this could be very, very bad for Joe Biden. Let's listen to what Rove has to say, and then we will discuss the changing perspectives on who is most hurt by RFK Jr.
Third parties, they're like cockroaches in the kitchen. Okay, it's not what they carry off that upsets you. It's what they fall into and foul up. Okay, Bobby Kennedy could fall into every swing state and foul it up for Joe Biden.
This is one of the biggest threats to Joe Biden being reelected.
I do worry that Bobby just taking some percentage of votes from Biden could shift the election and lead to Trump's election.
Well, it sounds like a red alert. Now that RFK Jr. has named a running mate, choosing entrepreneur Nicole Shanahan as his VP pick, Democrats are ramping up efforts to try to knock him out of the race for the White House, and they're raising concern again and again. Let's bring in Karl Rove, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Fox News contributor. Karl, good afternoon. First of all, are they right to worry as much as they do? And what do you think of Nicole Shanahan as RFK Jr.'s pick?
Yeah. Well, they should worry. In 2016, third-party candidates got 5.8% of the vote. That's 1 out of every 17 voters cast a ballot for a third-party candidate. And in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, the Green Party candidate got more votes than Hillary Clinton lost those states by. In 2020, 1.9%, 1 out of every 50 voters voted for a third-party candidate. And in Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin, the Libertarian candidate got more votes than Donald Trump lost those states by. So even if they get a very small fraction of the vote, if it's in the right places, it can cause enormous harm.
Karl, right now, I mean, he's got a lot of potential in key swing states, but he's only on the ballot in Utah. Is anybody pushing back on the other side of this? Anyone who doesn't work for the Biden campaign and saying some of this fear-mongering is overblown?
Well, he is behind the 8 ball, but look, a number of states, 20-some-odd states, require you to have a running mate before you can get on the ballot. So, you either could get on the ballot last year for a party before you nominated a candidate, but now that he's an independent candidate, he has to have a running mate to get on in a number of states. So we don't know how many he's going to end up getting, but in 2016, a dissident Republican got on the ballot in 20-some-odd states and received votes in 37 states, even though he didn't even become a candidate.
All right, so I think you get the point. There are some states there in which, if you didn't see the map, they were marking states where RFK is not yet on the ballot but has the signatures to get on. Arizona was there. Georgia was there. Michigan was there. These are critical states for Joe Biden, without a doubt. So you might be saying, wait a second, David. At one point, everybody was saying RFK hurts Trump. At another point, it was RFK hurts Joe Biden. Then it was Trump. Now it's Biden. Who exactly does RFK hurt? Well, the answer is it depends on which state you're talking about. It depends whether he's officially on the ballot or only a write-in. And it depends also on what the poll you look at is. We should assume, for our purposes, that RFK clearly and cleanly hurts Joe Biden. In our assessment of, oh, you know what? I live in a state that's not usually down to the last 1%. It's usually, the Democrat wins by 5 or 6. We should not assume that that is a safe state. We should assume every state might come down to our vote. Now, I know that in a literal sense, that's not the case, but that's the way we should be playing this because the data are unclear, but Karl Rove is not wrong. It's certainly plausible that RFK is very bad for Joe Biden and may actually help Donald Trump get himself reelected. Now, in terms of polling, it's really all over the map. There's a brand new YouGov poll, which has it Biden and Trump basically tied with Kennedy at 3, Jill Stein at 1, and Cornel West at 0. So certainly that's one where, at least mathematically, even though Kennedy doesn't get much, he has the potential to foul it all up. You look at a Beacon Research poll, which is done for Fox News. You see Trump winning by 5 with Kennedy 12. Certainly a state in which Kennedy's presence, certainly a poll in which Kennedy's presence may foul up the entire thing. You look at Quinnipiac University. Quinnipiac has it essentially tied, Kennedy 13, Stein 4, West 3. Now, here's the really important thing. When people are polled, they aren't responding relative to the presence on the ballot of these folks. There are some people saying, I support Kennedy, and then they're going to get to the ballot, to the polling place on November 5th, and then they won't see Kennedy there, and then they'll pick from Trump or Biden. So that is a factor in many states. We can slice and dice this however you want. The safest thing is to assume Kennedy's bad for Biden, and we need to make sure everyone knows you've got to get out and vote.